The stars burned with the light of dying ships. Across the dark emptiness of space, human vessels exploded one after another. Their metal bodies broke apart like glass. Their crews died in silence, frozen in the cold vacuum before they could even scream. Admiral Jack Morrison stood on the bridge of the last human battleship. His uniform was torn and covered in blood. His face showed no fear, only anger, only hate. He watched through the main window as another human cruiser disappeared in a ball of fire. "How many ships do we have left?" he asked as his first officer checked the screens. Her hands were shaking. 47, sir." Down from 3,000. Jack closed his eyes. 300 years of war. 300 years of fighting against impossible numbers. And now, at the end, humanity had lost. The Dominion Collective had attacked Earth without warning. 12 alien species had joined together with one goal. They wanted to destroy every human in the galaxy. They called humans dangerous. They called humans violent. They said the galaxy would be safer without the savage apes from the small blue planet Dot. At first, humans tried to talk. They sent messages of peace. They offered friendship. But the Dominion did not want peace. They wanted extinction. So humanity fought back. The war spread across hundreds of star systems. Humans were outnumbered 1,000 to 1. They had fewer ships, fewer soldiers, fewer resources. But they had something the aliens did not understand. They had rage. They had the desperate strength of a species, fighting for survival. Human soldiers attacked with fury that terrified their enemies. Human scientists created weapons that made entire planets burn. Human commanders used tactics so brutal that alien generals refused to believe the reports. In the first century of war, humanity destroyed the home world of the Keth species. 20 billion aliens died in one day. The galaxy called it a war crime. Humans called it justice. In the second century, human forces captured the Dominion's greatest shipyard. They turned its weapons against its builders. They killed every worker, every guard, every living thing. Then they used the shipyard to build more human warships. By the third century, the Dominion had lost 9 billion soldiers. 64 of their worlds were burning ruins. 3 of their moons had been cracked open by gravity bombs. The 12 species that had started this war were beginning to regret their decision. But humanity paid an even higher price. Earth was gone. The aliens had bombarded the human home world until nothing remained but rock and ash. The blue oceans boiled away. The green forests became black dust. 8 billion humans died on the planet where their species was born. The colonies were destroyed. 2. Mars, Venus, the stations around Jupiter, the settlements on distant stars. One by one, they fell to the Dominion's endless fleets. Now only 12 million humans remained. 12 million out of 15 billion. Less than 1% of their species had survived. Admiral Morrison looked at his crew. They were exhausted. Many were wounded. All of them knew they were going to die. "Sir," said a young officer, "the Dominion fleet is charging weapons. They will fire in 3 minutes. Jack nodded slowly. He had already accepted death. But he refused to let humanity end here, in this cold corner of space, forgotten and alone. "Open a channel to all remaining human ships," he ordered. The communication officer obeyed. His voice echoed across the 47 surviving vessels. "This is Admiral Morrison. I know you are tired. I know you are scared. I know many of you have already said goodbye to this life. But I am not ready to let our species die." He paused, looking at the distant stars. "We cannot win this battle. We cannot win this war. The Dominion has too many ships, too many soldiers. If we fight here, we will die here. And humanity will become nothing but a memory." His crew listened in silence. "But I have another plan." Deep in the unexplored regions of space, there is a nebula, a cloud of gas and dust so thick that no scanner can see through it. Inside that nebula, we have hidden something. 20 massive ships. We call them the Ark vessels. The young officer's eyes went wide. Sir, the Ark project was supposed to be a secret. Secrets do not matter anymore, Jack said. What matters is survival. The Ark vessels contain everything we need. Cryogenic chambers for millions of people. Weapons, technology, seeds, animals. The complete knowledge of human civilization. He turned to face his crew directly. We will retreat to the nebula. We will board the Ark vessels. And we will sleep. Not for years. Not for centuries. For as long as it takes. We will sleep until the Dominion forgets we exist. We will sleep until the galaxy believes we are dead. The first officer stepped forward. And then? Jack smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a man who had lost everything and had only revenge left. And then we wake up. We return to a galaxy that has forgotten why it feared us. And we remind them. The retreat began immediately. Human ships scattered in every direction, drawing the Dominion fleet away from the true escape route. Thousands of humans died buying time for the others. 3 weeks later, the survivors reached the nebula. They found the Ark vessels waiting for them, hidden inside hollowed asteroids. The ships were enormous. Each one was large enough to hold 1 million people. The 12 million survivors boarded the vessels. They said goodbye to the stars they had known. They climbed into cryogenic pods and let the cold embrace them. Admiral Morrison was the last to sleep. Before entering his pod, he walked to the communication center of the flagship. He recorded one final message and broadcast it across every frequency in the galaxy. This is Admiral Jack Morrison of the human fleet. You have won this battle, but you have not won this war. We are not dead. We are sleeping. And one day we will wake. Remember this moment. Remember what you have done to us. Because we will never forget. We will never forgive. And we will return. Then he climbed into his pod, closed his eyes, and let the machines freeze his body. The Dominion searched for the human fleet for 50 years. They found nothing. Eventually, they declared humanity extinct. They held celebrations across 1,000 worlds. They built monuments to their great victory. Centuries passed. The Dominion Collective slowly fell apart. Old alliances broke. New empires rose. The 12 species scattered across the galaxy, fighting among themselves for power and territory. The story of humanity became a legend. Then the legend became a myth. Then the myth was forgotten entirely. 10,000 years went by, and deep inside a dark nebula, hidden within silent asteroids, 12 million humans continued to sleep. Their hearts beat once per hour. Their dreams were filled with fire and blood and revenge. They were waiting. Dex was bored. He'd been scanning asteroids for 3 months, looking for valuable metals. Every day was the same. Wake up, eat tasteless food. Sit at his computer. Point scanners at rocks. Find nothing interesting. Go to sleep. Repeat. He was a Valari, a species with blue skin and 4 arms. His people controlled this region of space. They had mining stations scattered across hundreds of asteroid fields. Dex worked at the smallest and most remote station. He had 12 co-workers. None of them liked him. Today seemed like every other day. Dex pointed his scanner at another group of asteroids. He expected to see the same thing he always saw: rock, iron, maybe some copper. Instead, his screen exploded with data. Dex sat up straight. His 4 hands moved quickly across the controls. He adjusted the scanner. He checked the readings again. His blue skin turned pale. That cannot be right, he whispered. The scanner was detecting metal. Not natural metal from asteroids. Processed metal. Ship metal. And not just one ship. The readings showed dozens of massive structures hidden inside the asteroid field. Even more impossible, the scanner detected life signs. Thousands of them. Maybe millions. All of them in some kind of stasis. Sleeping but alive. Vex's hands began to shake. He ran to find his supervisor. 2 weeks later, his report reached the Imperial Senate on the Volari capital world. The senators sat in their fancy chairs, wearing their expensive robes. They listened as a nervous official read Vex's findings out loud. The surveyor claims to have found a fleet of ships hidden in Sector 7G, the official said. He estimates between 20 and 30 vessels, each several kilometers in length. He also claims to have detected approximately 12 million life forms in cryogenic suspension. The senators laughed. 12 million? Said one senator, a fat Volari named Brix. Inside asteroids? This surveyor has been drinking too much. Perhaps his equipment is broken, said another senator. Or perhaps he wants attention, said a third. These remote workers often go crazy from loneliness. The official nodded and prepared to move to the next topic. But then an old voice spoke from the back of the chamber. Wait. Everyone turned to look. Senator Vaughan was standing. He was very old, even for a Keth. His species had been one of the original 12 in the Dominion Collective. His gray skin was covered in wrinkles. His 3 eyes were cloudy with age. But his voice was strong. I must speak, Vaughan said. Senator Brix waved his hand dismissively. Old Vaughan wants to bore us with another history lesson. This is not boring, Vaughan replied. This is terrifying. If what this surveyor found is real, then we are all in terrible danger. The chamber fell quiet. Despite his age, Vaughan was respected. He had spent 200 years studying ancient records. He knew secrets that others had forgotten. Tell us, said the Senate leader. Vaughan walked slowly to the center of the chamber. His old bones ached, but he forced himself to stand tall. Do any of you know the name Morrison? He asked. The senators looked at each other. None of them recognized the name. What about the Extinction War? The Dominion Collective? The Savage Apes? Still nothing. The senators shook their heads. Vaughan felt cold fear in his chest. It was worse than he thought. They have forgotten everything. 10,000 years ago, he began, this galaxy fought the most terrible war in history. A species called humans lived on a small planet called Earth. They were young. They had only recently learned to travel between stars. But they were also dangerous, violent, unpredictable. He paused, remembering the ancient texts he had read. The great powers of that time decided to destroy humanity before they could become a threat. 12 species joined together to form the Dominion Collective. They attacked Earth without warning. They expected an easy victory. Senator Brix laughed. And they won, obviously. We are still here. These humans are not. They won, Vaughan agreed. But not easily. The war lasted 300 years. The humans fought with a fury that the galaxy had never seen. They destroyed worlds. They killed billions. My own species lost our home planet to their weapons. The chamber was silent now. The senators were beginning to understand. In the end, the humans were defeated. Their planet was destroyed. Their colonies were burned. Only a few million survived. The Dominion celebrated their extinction. Vaughan pointed toward the ceiling, toward the stars beyond. But the humans did not die. According to the oldest records, they escaped. They hid themselves somewhere in deep space. They entered some kind of long sleep. And they swore that one day they would return. Senator Brix stood up. This is ridiculous. Even if this story is true, it was 10,000 years ago. No one could sleep that long. Their ships would have fallen apart. Their bodies would have rotted. Perhaps, Bourne said. Or perhaps not. The humans were clever. Their technology was advanced. If anyone could survive for 10,000 years, it would be them. He turned to face the Senate leader directly. I am begging you. Send a military fleet to these coordinates. Destroy whatever is hidden in those asteroids. Do it now, before it is too late. The Senate leader thought for a long moment. Then he shook his head. We cannot destroy something based on old stories and legends. We will send a research team to investigate. If there is any real danger, they will report back. Vaughn felt despair wash over him. You are making a terrible mistake. Perhaps. But the decision is made. This meeting is over. 3 weeks later, a Valari mining ship arrived at the asteroid field. The crew was supposed to investigate the strange readings that Dex had reported. They were not military. They were just workers with drilling equipment. Their captain, a young Valari named Moss, guided the ship toward the largest asteroid. His scans showed something metal inside the rock. Something big. Start drilling, he ordered. The drill bit into the asteroid's surface. Rock and dust flew away into space. The crew watched their screens, waiting to see what was hidden inside. The drill broke through into an empty space. Moss looked at his readings with confusion. There is atmosphere inside, he said. How is that possible? Before anyone could answer, emergency lights began flashing inside the asteroid. Red and white, blinking in patterns. Then a sound came through their communication system. A sound that made their blood turn cold. It was an alarm. And behind the alarm, they could hear machinery coming to life. Fans spinning. Computers activating. Power systems warming up. What is happening? One of the crew asked. Moss did not answer. He was staring at his screen. The life sign readings were changing. The sleeping figures inside the asteroid were beginning to wake up. Deep inside the flagship Ark Genesis, Commander Emma Cole opened her eyes for the first time in 10,000 years. Her body was stiff and cold. Her throat was dry. Her muscles screamed with pain as she tried to move. But she was alive. The pod above her slid open. Medical equipment surrounded her, pumping medicine into her veins. A computer screen showed her vital signs. Everything was working as planned. A voice spoke from speakers in the ceiling. It was Guardian, the artificial intelligence that had protected them during their long sleep. Good morning, Commander. Revival process is complete. You have been in cryogenic suspension for exactly 10,427 years. Emma tried to speak. At first, only a dry croak came out. She swallowed, licked her lips, and tried again. Report. What woke us? An external breach, Guardian replied. An alien vessel drilled into our outer hull. Automatic defense protocols activated the revival sequence. Emma smiled. It was a cold smile. A dangerous smile. So they found us? Good. She pulled herself out of the pod and stood on shaking legs. Around her, thousands of other pods were beginning to open. Thousands of other humans were waking from their long sleep. Guardian, Emma said, begin full fleet revival. Wake everyone. It is time to go home. Outside the asteroid, Captain Moss and his crew were trying to escape. But their ship would not move. Something was holding them in place, and deep inside the asteroid field, lights were coming on. Engines were warming up. Weapons were charging. Humanity was awake. The revival took 3 months. One by one, the cryogenic pods opened. One by one, the sleeping humans returned to life. Medical teams worked without rest, helping the newly awakened survivors recover their strength. Not everyone survived. 3 million humans never woke up. Their pods had failed over the long millennia. Their bodies had turned to dust while they dreamed of home. Commander Emma Cole ordered a memorial service for each of them, but 9 million humans did survive. 9 million soldiers, scientists, engineers, doctors, and workers. 9 million people who had gone to sleep angry and woken up even angrier. Emma called a meeting of her senior officers in the command center of the Ark Genesis. The room was large, filled with holographic displays showing star maps and fleet positions. The officers sat around a circular table, their faces hard and determined. Admiral Marcus Webb was the oldest among them. His hair had been gray when he entered cryogenic sleep. Now it was white, but his eyes were sharp and his mind was clear. He commanded the Space Fleet. General Diana Foster sat across from him. She was tall and muscular, built for combat. Her job was ground warfare. She had killed more aliens with her own hands than most soldiers killed in their entire careers. Fleet Commander Thomas Reed was younger. He had been a brilliant tactician before the long sleep. He planned military operations with cold precision, treating war like a game of chess. Intelligence Director Rachel Kim completed the group. She was small and quiet, but her mind was the most dangerous weapon in the fleet. She gathered information, found weaknesses, and destroyed enemies without firing a single shot. Emma looked at each of them in turn. These were the people she trusted. These were the people who would help her take back the galaxy. Guardian has finished analyzing the current state of affairs, Emma announced. The news is interesting. She activated a holographic display. A map of the galaxy appeared, floating above the table. The Dominion Collective is gone. It collapsed about 3,000 years after we went to sleep. The 12 species that tried to destroy us are now scattered across hundreds of systems. They fight among themselves constantly. There is no unified government anymore. Marcus leaned forward. What about their military strength? Weak, Emma replied with satisfaction. Very weak. The galaxy has been at peace for most of the last 10,000 years. Most species have reduced their war fleets to almost nothing. They use their ships for trade and exploration, not combat. Diana smiled. It was not a nice smile. They got soft. Very soft, Emma agreed. Their weapons technology has actually gotten worse in some areas. They stopped developing new military systems because they did not think they needed them. She changed the display, showing detailed information about various species. The Valari are the dominant power in this region. They are the ones who found us. They have about 500 military ships, most of them small patrol vessels. Their army is used mainly for policing, not real warfare. Thomas studied the numbers carefully. And what do we have? Emma changed the display again. Now it showed the human fleet. 23 Ark vessels, fully operational. Each one carries enough weapons to destroy a planet. We also have 4,000 firecraft in storage, along with tanks, artillery, and ground assault equipment. Our technology is 10,000 years old, but it was the most advanced in the galaxy when we built it. And based on Guardian's analysis, it is still superior to anything currently in use. The officers exchanged looks. They were beginning to understand just how much the situation had changed. Let me make sure I understand, Rachel said slowly. The species that tried to exterminate us are now weak and divided. They have forgotten we exist. They have no defenses against us. And we have a fleet of warships with weapons they cannot match. That is correct, Emma confirmed. Diana laughed out loud. They handed us the galaxy on a plate. All we have to do is take it. Emma nodded, but her expression remained serious. Do not underestimate them. They still have numbers. If they unite against us, they could overwhelm us through sheer force. We need to strike fast, before they realize what is happening. She stood up and walked to the main display. The Valari will be our first target. We are already in their space. They already know we are here. If we give them time to warn others, to build alliances, we will lose our advantage." Marcus raised his hand. "What about the mining ship? The one that drilled into our hull?" "Still captured," Emma said. "Guardian disabled their engines as soon as they breached our defenses. The crew's alive and unharmed. I have been questioning them for information." "And what have you learned?" Emma's face darkened. "I have learned that they truly believe we are extinct. The captain of that ship had never heard of humans. He thought our ships were some kind of ancient alien technology. When I told him who we were, he did not believe me." She turned to face her officers directly. "They erased us from history. They killed 15 billion of our people, destroyed our home world, and then pretended we never existed. Our children became monster stories. Our species became a myth. 10,000 years, and they wiped away everything we were." The room was silent. The officers felt the same cold rage that burned in their commander's heart. "I want them to remember," Emma said quietly. "I want every species in this galaxy to remember what they did to us. And I want them to regret it for the rest of their existence." She returned to her seat and activated a tactical display. "Here is my plan. We will attack the Valari first. We will destroy their fleet and capture their capital world. This will announce our return to the galaxy. Other species will panic. They will try to form alliances against us. And we will let them," Thomas added, understanding her strategy. "We will let them gather their forces in one place." "Exactly. Then we destroy them all at once. Quick, decisive victories. No long campaigns. No sieges. We hit hard, we hit fast, and we do not stop until they surrender." Rachel cleared her throat. "What about the population? The civilians?" Emma considered the question carefully. "We are not murderers. We do not kill innocent people. Our fight is with their governments and their military, not with farmers and teachers and children." She paused, choosing her next words with care. "But we will also not show weakness. If a planet resists, we will bomb their military installations. If a fleet attacks, we will destroy it completely. We will give them every chance to surrender peacefully. But if they choose war, we will give them war beyond their worst nightmares." Marcus stood up. "I support this plan, but I have one concern. Admiral Morrison led us into the long sleep. He gave us hope that one day we would return. Is he among the survivors?" Emma shook her head sadly. "No, Admiral Morrison's pod failed 8,000 years ago. He died in his sleep, dreaming of Earth. He never knew if his plan would succeed." The officers bowed their heads in respect. "But his legacy lives on," Emma continued. "He saved our species. He gave us this chance. And we will not waste it." She stood up and raised her fist. "For 10,000 years, we dreamed of revenge. For 10,000 years, we waited for this moment. Now the waiting is over. Now the dreaming is done. Now we take back what they stole from us." The officers rose to their feet as one. "Prepare the fleet for departure," Emma commanded. "Set course for the Valari capital. And send a message to every human on every ship. Tell them to remember Earth. Tell them to remember everyone we lost. And tell them that the time has come to remind the galaxy why they should never have let us sleep." The Ark vessels came alive with activity. Engines roared to life after 10,000 years of silence. Weapons systems powered up. Navigation computers calculated jump coordinates. In her private quarters, Emma stood before a window, watching the stars. Somewhere out there, in the vast darkness of space, was the place where Earth used to be. Nothing remained now but rock and memory. "I made you a promise, Jack," she whispered to the ghost of Admiral Morrison. "I promised we would return. I promised we would make them pay. And I always keep my promises," The fleet began to move. 23 massive ships, carrying 9 million angry humans, sliding through space like sharks smelling blood. The galaxy had forgotten them. The galaxy was about to remember. The Valari had no warning. One moment, their patrol ships were floating peacefully in orbit around their capital world. The next moment, those ships were burning. The human fleet appeared without warning, jumping out of faster-than-light travel directly into the heart of Valari space. Admiral Marcus Webb had timed the attack perfectly. They arrived during a government holiday, when most of the military officers were at home with their families. Commander Emma Cole watched from the bridge of the Ark Genesis as her ships tore through the Valari defenses. It was not even a fair fight. The Valari patrol vessels were designed for catching smugglers and pirates. They had never faced a real war fleet. Human plasma lances cut through Valari shields like they were made of paper. Gravity bombs pulled enemy ships apart, crushing their metal hulls into balls of twisted wreckage. In 30 minutes, the entire Valari defensive fleet was destroyed. Ground assault teams are ready, reported General Diana Foster through the communication system. She was aboard a transport ship waiting to land. Begin the invasion, Emma ordered. Thousands of human soldiers dropped from the sky. Their assault pods burned through the atmosphere like falling stars. They landed in the streets of the Valari capital city, weapons ready, armor gleaming in the alien sun. The Valari police tried to fight back. They had never seen human soldiers before. They had never faced an enemy that moved so fast, shot so accurately, and fought with such terrifying determination. The battle for the capital lasted 6 hours. By the end, every government building was in human hands. The Valari leader was captured, found hiding in a basement beneath his palace. His guards had abandoned him the moment they saw what they were fighting. Diana brought the captured leader before Commander Cole. He was a fat Valari, his blue skin pale with fear. His forearms were bound behind his back. His eyes were wide with terror. "Please," he begged. "I do not understand. Who are you? What do you want?" Emma looked at him with cold contempt. "My name is Emma Cole. I am human, and I want you to send a message to the rest of the galaxy." The Valari leader stared at her. "Human? That is not possible. Humans are extinct. They died thousands of years ago." "No," Emma replied. "We did not die. We slept. And now we are awake." She grabbed his face and forced him to look at a screen showing the destruction of his fleet. "Look at what we have done in 6 hours. Look at your ships burning. Look at your soldiers surrendering. This is what happens when you anger humanity. This is what your ancestors brought upon you when they tried to destroy us." The Valari leader was crying now. Tears ran down his blue cheeks. "But I had nothing to do with that. I was not even born. None of us were. That was 10,000 years ago." "Yes," Emma agreed. "And we have been waiting 10,000 years for this moment. Your ancestors started this war. We are going to finish it." She released him and stepped back. "You will broadcast a message to every species in the galaxy. You will tell them that humanity has returned. You will tell them that we demand surrender, or we will burn every world that opposes us. Do you understand?" He nodded quickly. Yes, I will do whatever you want." The message went out within the hour. It spread across thousands of systems, reaching billions of aliens. At first, no one believed it. Humanity was a myth, a legend, a scary story from ancient times. They could not actually be real. Then they saw the footage. Burning ships, captured cities, human soldiers marching through Valari streets. The evidence was impossible to deny. The galaxy erupted in panic. Emergency meetings were called on every major world. Leaders who had never spoken to each other suddenly became best friends. Ancient enemies set aside their differences to face this common threat. Within 2 weeks, the largest alliance in galactic history was formed. The Keth Imperium, the Solari Republic, the Drath Confederacy, and 50 other powers joined together. They called themselves the Galactic Defense Coalition. They gathered every ship they could find, every soldier they could draft. Their combined fleet numbered over 10,000 vessels. Their armies counted in the hundreds of millions. They believed that even the legendary humans could not defeat such overwhelming numbers. They were wrong. Commander Cole had expected this response. She had planned for it. While the aliens gathered their forces, she sent Intelligence Director Rachel Kim to work. Rachel's agents infiltrated alien governments. They bribed officials. They blackmailed officers. They spread false information and created confusion. By the time the coalition fleet was ready to fight, Rachel knew every detail of their battle plans. "They are going to meet us at the Drath border," Rachel reported. 10,000 ships arranged in a defensive formation. "They expect us to attack head-on." "Then we will not attack head-on," Emma replied. The human fleet split into 3 groups. Admiral Webb led the main force directly toward the coalition. Fleet Commander Thomas Reed took a smaller group around the flank. Emma herself led the 3rd group in a wide loop through empty space. The coalition commanders saw Webb's fleet approaching. They prepared for battle, confident in their superior numbers. Their ships formed a perfect defensive line, weapons ready. Then Thomas attacked from the side. The coalition fleet tried to turn to face this new threat. In doing so, they broke their formation. Ships collided with each other in the confusion. Commanders screamed orders that nobody followed. And then Emma's group arrived from behind. The battle lasted 4 hours. It was the most one-sided military victory in galactic history. Human weapons tore through coalition shields like they did not exist. Human pilots flew circles around alien fighters. Human marines boarded enemy flagships and captured them from the inside. When it was over, 8,000 coalition ships were destroyed. Another 1,500 were captured. The rest fled in every direction, abandoning their allies to save themselves. The Galactic Defense Coalition collapsed in a single day. After that, resistance crumbled quickly. World after world surrendered without fighting. Leaders sent desperate messages, begging for mercy. They offered treasures, territory, anything to stop the human advance. Diana Foster led the ground campaigns. Their soldiers were unstoppable. They had trained for 300 years before the long sleep. They remembered every tactic, every technique, every brutal lesson from the original war. Against poorly trained alien armies, they were like wolves among sheep. Thomas planned each operation with perfect precision. He knew exactly where to strike, exactly when to attack, exactly how to break enemy morale before the fighting even started. Under his command, human forces captured entire systems with minimal losses. Rachel's intelligence network grew larger every day. Alien governments leaked secrets like broken pipes. Generals betrayed their own armies for promises of safety. Politicians sold out their people to save their own lives. And through it all, Emma watched and waited. She did not enjoy the killing. She did not celebrate the destruction. But she did not feel guilty either. This was not revenge. This was justice. The galaxy had tried to exterminate her species. Now her species was returning the favor. 2 years after the awakening, 37 star systems were under human control. 8 major species had surrendered completely. The great powers of the galaxy were broken, their fleets destroyed, their armies scattered, their governments in chaos. But Emma knew that military victory was not enough. Killing enemies was easy. Changing minds was hard. "We cannot rule through fear forever," she told her officers one evening. "If we try to hold this territory by force, we will eventually face rebellion. Our enemies will unite against us again. And this time, they might win. Then what do you suggest? Marcus asked. Emma looked out at the stars. Somewhere in that vast darkness, the ashes of Earth still floated through space. 15 billion people. Her entire civilization. Everything she had ever known. I suggest we offer them a choice, she said. Surrender and accept our terms or die fighting. But make the terms fair. Make them survivable. Give them hope that cooperation will be better than resistance. The Dominion did not give us that choice, Diana pointed out. No, Emma agreed. They did not. And that is exactly why we lost everything. I will not make the same mistake. I will not become the monster they always said we were. She turned to face her officers. Contact every remaining government. Tell them we are ready to negotiate. Tell them we will offer peace to anyone willing to accept our terms. The officers nodded. They trusted their commander. If she said there was a better way, they believed her. But as Emma walked back to her quarters that night, she allowed herself one small moment of satisfaction. The galaxy had forgotten humanity. Now they would never forget again. The Peace Summit was held on a neutral space station. Every major species sent representatives. They arrived in simple transport ships, having learned that showing off their wealth or power only made the humans angry. Commander Emma Cole sat at the head of a long table. Her senior officers stood behind her. On the other side sat dozens of alien leaders, their faces showing a mixture of fear, respect, and desperate hope. The old Keth historian named Vorn was among them. He had been right about everything. He had warned his government. They had ignored him. Now he represented what remained of his people. Thank you for coming, Emma began. Her voice was calm and measured. I know many of you are afraid. I know you expect us to demand terrible things. Slavery, genocide, the destruction of your civilizations. The alien leaders shifted nervously. Those were exactly the things they expected. But you are wrong, Emma continued. We did not fight this war for revenge. We did not wake from our long sleep to become murderers. We fought because your ancestors gave us no choice. They attacked us without warning. They tried to exterminate our entire species. They killed 15 billion innocent people. She paused, letting the weight of that number sink in. We fought to survive. We hid ourselves for 10,000 years because survival was more important than pride. And we returned because we were discovered, not because we wanted war. Your mining ship woke us. Your people started this conflict, just as your ancestors started the first one. Vorn raised his trembling hand. May I speak? Emma nodded. The old Keth stood slowly. His ancient body could barely support his weight. I have studied the histories that others forgot. I know what the Dominion did to your people. I know about Earth. I know about the colonies. I know about the children who burned in their beds while our ancestors celebrated. He looked around at the other alien leaders. We called them monsters. We said they were too dangerous to exist. But look at what we did to them. Look at the crime our ancestors committed. We tried to murder an entire species because we were afraid of what they might become. We are the monsters. We always were. Vorn turned to Emma and bowed as low as his old bones would allow. On behalf of my species, I apologize. I know words cannot undo the past. I know nothing can bring back the dead. But I'm sorry. From the bottom of my heart, I am sorry. The room was silent. No one had expected this. Emma looked at the old historian for a long moment. She saw the shame in his eyes, the genuine regret. This was not an act. This was not a trick to gain mercy. This was real. Thank you, she said finally. Your apology is accepted. I only wish your ancestors had shown such wisdom. She stood up and walked to a large display screen. Here are our terms. They are not negotiable, but I believe you will find them fair. She activated the display. A list appeared. First, all species will formally recognize human sovereignty over our original colonial territories. These are worlds we settled before the war. They belong to us by right. The alien leaders nodded. This was expected. Second, all species will pay reparations for the genocide committed 10,000 years ago. The amount will be calculated based on each species' involvement in the Dominion, collective, and their current economic capability. These payments will continue for 100 years. Some leaders looked unhappy about this, but none objected. Third, and most importantly, you will change your history books. The leaders looked confused. Emma explained, "For 10,000 years, you have taught your children that humanity was evil. You have painted us as savage monsters who deserve to be destroyed. Some of you forgot we existed entirely. This ends now." She showed images on the display. Human cities before the war. Human families. Human art and music and culture. Your schools will teach the truth. Your children will learn what really happened. They will learn that their ancestors committed genocide against a peaceful species. They will learn about our suffering, our survival, our strength. Humanity will never be forgotten again. The alien leaders whispered among themselves. This was an unusual demand, but it cost them nothing. Books were easy to change. "What do you want in return?" asked the Solari representative. "What happens if we agree to these terms?" Emma smiled. For the first time since waking from her long sleep, it was a genuine smile. "If you agree to these terms, we offer peace. True peace. We will return your captured territories. We will release your prisoners. We will establish trade relations and diplomatic exchanges. Your people and our people will learn to live together." She looked around the room at the assembled leaders. "We do not want to rule you. We do not want to enslave you. We want to exist. We want to rebuild our civilization. We want to raise our children on new worlds, under new stars, knowing that they will never face the threat of extinction again." Bourne spoke up again. "And if we refuse these terms?" Emma's smile faded. Her eyes turned hard. "Then we continue the war. We destroy your fleets, capture your worlds, and take what we want by force. You have seen what our ships can do. You have seen how easily we crushed the largest alliance in galactic history. Refuse us, and you will lose everything." The threat hung in the air like a dark cloud. "But I do not want that," Emma added, her voice softening. "I have already lost too much to this war. We all have. 10,000 years of sleeping and dreaming of fire and death. I am tired of hatred. I am tired of revenge. I want to build something new. I want to give my people a future worth living." One by one, the alien leaders voted. The Valari agreed first, having suffered the most from human weapons. The Keth followed, led by Old Vorn, the Solari, the Drath, and all the others eventually joined. The peace treaty was signed within a week. The galaxy had a new order. In the years that followed, humanity rebuilt. They terraformed the dead worlds where their colonies had once stood. They built new cities, new farms, new schools. Their population grew from 9 million to 900 million within a single generation. They took their place among the galactic powers, not as conquerors, but as equals. Human ships traveled the trade routes. Human ambassadors served in alien capitals. Human students studied alongside alien children in universities across the galaxy, but they never forgot the long sleep on every human world. Monuments were built to honor the 12 million who had entered the Ark vessels and the 9 million who had emerged. The names of those who died in their pods were carved into stone. Remembered forever. Schools taught the history of the First War and the long sleep. Children learned about Earth, the beautiful blue planet that no longer existed. They learned about their ancestors who had fought against impossible odds and survived through determination and sacrifice. And in the deepest archives of the human resurgence, Commander Emma Cole's final log entry was preserved for all future generations to read. We are home. Not Earth. Earth is gone, and nothing can bring it back. But we have found new homes, new stars, new hope. Our children will grow up in a galaxy that knows our name. They will never be erased from history. They will never be forgotten. She paused in her recording, looking out a window at a beautiful sunrise on a new human world. The galaxy thought time would destroy us. They thought we would fade into myth and legend. They believed that if they killed enough of us, burned enough of our cities, they could make us disappear forever. They were wrong. Emma smiled, thinking of all the battles, all the sacrifices, all the endless years of sleeping and waiting. Humanity does not fade. Humanity does not forget. Humanity survives. No matter how long it takes, no matter how dark the night, we find a way. We always find a way. She turned off the recording and walked outside. The sun was warm on her face. Children were playing in a nearby park. Somewhere in the distance, she could hear music. For the first time in 10,000 years, Emma Cole allowed herself to feel something other than anger. She felt hope. Admiral Jack Morrison had made a promise long ago, when he led the survivors into their long sleep. He had promised that one day, humanity would return. That one day, they would reclaim their place in the stars. He had kept his promise. And now, standing under an alien sun on a world that would become humanity's new home, Emma made her own promise. She promised that the sacrifice of 15 billion people would not be meaningless. She promised that the 3 million who died in their sleep would be remembered. She promised that no enemy would ever again underestimate the species that had conquered death itself. Humanity had slumbered for 10,000 years. Now they were awake. And they were here to stay.